The first time I ever held a smartphone was after spending several years living in rural Mexico, where I didn't have access to a lot of technology. When I came back, I actually received this smartphone. And I was absolutely amazed about how technology had changed in the time I'd been gone. How my finger could make the screen adjust without much pressure or without much difficulty. Or how changing the orientation of the phone adjusted the orientation of the screen to accommodate my view. Or even how I could get access to any of the information I wanted from anywhere, thanks to the internet. And I honestly kind of felt a little bit stupid with this new technology because I had to have my 14-year-old brother sit there and explain to me how this worked. So something as simple as, well, how exactly am I able to get on the internet from anywhere without having Wi-Fi? Oh, well, that's what data's for. What's data? Since then, I've come to understand a little bit better how it is that these technologies work, but this was something that really motivated me and wanted me to work and understand more of these technologies and help me get into the fields of engineering. And as I started to learn how these technologies worked and begin to understand them better, I came to understand and see that many of these technologies had their roots in conflict. An example of this would be the accelerometer. It's a little sensor in your phone that allows that cool, have the screen flip orientation to occur. This was actually invented for missile guidance systems because a way was needed to send missiles from one place to another accurately, and GPS was not around at the time. GPS actually came about as a way to ensure nuclear arms treaties were being respected by different countries. That way, country A and country B, who agreed not to do a specific type of testing, it was able to be enforced. Even the internet initially came about because of a concern about, in the event of a nuclear attack, how would our current network system work? It would go down. There needed to be a better way that would allow for communication to still occur. This led to the birth first of ARPANET and eventually the internet. But so I started thinking, why? What's the connection between these two things? Technology and war. And as I was thinking about this, I came to understand that there are two requirements in order for technological innovation to occur. One is a need. And two is an urgency to fill it. And conflict does an amazing job of both identifying needs and creating a very important urgency to fill them. But so what about humanity leads to this? Why is it that as a human race, we've let this kind of become the cycle? And as I've looked at this, I realized that as a human race and as a species, we are very lonely. We are very isolated. We like to get together in our groups and to just stay there, have an us versus them mentality, and generally try to avoid having contact with anybody else. The only people who do generally have contact are the leadership figures, political or military figures, and as history has shown, very often those end up being very contentious relationships that are had between these groups, requiring that these different groups must innovate in order to survive. But now let's look at today. Today, we enjoy a level of interconnectivity that has never before existed in the history of mankind. Now, I can walk out of here today, I can send an email to Asia asking about a package that I had ordered, and then I can go home and make some kind of funny faces to my little nephews in Peru via video chat. All of this is possible today. That never would have been thought about years ago. Now, via social media, anyone in the world with connection to the internet has the ability to have a voice and to make their opinion, their point of view heard by a global audience and not just by a local or communal audience. This means isolated areas in South Africa, Asia, now have the ability to make their voices heard. But so what does this mean? This difference in connectivity between peoples that exists. It means that now we are important. We have the ability to affect change in the world. We no longer have to wait for some other group to come and cause conflict in order for us to have to innovate. We can make that change ourselves, and it only takes desire. An example of this would be Topher White. Went to Indonesia and saw there was a problem with illegal deforestation. As such, began Rainforest Connection, using old smartphones and solar panels to create a way to detect illegal logging. This now can be used to protect the rainforest from illegal logging, decreasing amounts of CO2, and aiding in protecting the world from the greenhouse problem. These are great changes that can just be made by someone with a desire to make a change. And because of this interconnectivity, resources can now be pooled. Open source projects are something that can now exist. Technologies that anyone can add to or take away from, and to build the whole. An example of these projects would be Arduino, small computers that people use for home electronics projects. Some people got together and began something called ArduSat, an open source satellite. What would it be like for a high school student to go design an experiment, send it up into space, collect the data, and bring it back and finish that project before the end of the school year? How motivating would that be for that high schooler to then go into fields of science, engineering, and be able to make a change? And even more so now, because the information is pooled, the scientists, the engineers, the technological specialists now have even more of a responsibility to bring these technologies to the world and to help improve the human condition. But so today, we've talked a lot about the past, and we talked about the present. The Spanish philosopher Jorge Santayana said, "Aquellos que no recuerdan el pasado son condenados a repetirlo." Those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it. So let's not. We have the ability to make that change. For those who are not involved in these projects, get connected. We have the ability. Find something that you're passionate about and get involved. For those of you who have played with or worked with these technologies, use them. You can help improve society, solve the smaller problems, so that those who are technological specialists, scientists, and engineers, there exists the responsibility to greatly improve these technologies and create these great technologies of the future, what will be the internet in the next 30 years. Today we've discussed what it is that cell phones teach us about conflict. Let's work so that in the next 30 years, the next great technology teaches us lessons about peace. Thank you.